Prepare to unlearn, not what you learned at school, not what economics textbooks taught you, and certainly not what is repeated every day by the news. Prepare to unlearn the idea that poverty is an accident. Prepare to unlearn the belief that rich countries are rich because they did everything right. And above all, prepare to unlearn the comforting illusion that the world is naturally moving toward equality, because the truth is uncomfortable. The world is not unequal because it failed. It is not unjust because of human error or lack of information. It is not broken. The world is unequal by design. And more than that, rich countries need poor countries to remain poor, not as an unfortunate side effect, but as a fundamental requirement of how the global system works. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is a structural analysis. And if you stay until the end, you may never look at development, foreign aid, or economic growth the same way again. Chapter 1. The story we were taught. From an early age, we were told a simple story. Some countries became prosperous because they invested in education, because they innovated, because they worked hard. Others fell behind because of corruption, bad leadership, or collective laziness. It is a comfortable narrative. It creates clear heroes and villains. It turns inequality into a moral issue. Rich countries are rich because they deserve it. Poor countries are poor because they failed. But this story ignores a fundamental reality. No rich country developed in isolation. No nation accumulated wealth without exploiting external resources, labor, or markets. No country reached the top without benefiting from an unequal global structure. Wealth did not appear out of thin air. It was transferred, and every transfer has a losing side. Chapter 2. The real map of global wealth. Look at the world map. The richest countries today, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, the Netherlands, share more than technological progress. They all were empires. They all controlled colonies. They all extracted resources, labor, and wealth from other regions of the world. Gold from Latin America, cotton from the global south, rubber, sugar, coffee, cocoa, oil. None of this was free trade. It was forced extraction. It was slavery or near slavery. It was the destruction of local economies to fuel distant industrial centers. While one side accumulated capital, the other accumulated dependency. Underdevelopment did not come after wealth. It emerged at the same time. Chapter 3. Poverty is not the absence of wealth. Here is a crucial point rarely mentioned. Poor countries are not poor because they lack wealth. They are poor because their wealth has been, and continues to be, drained. Minerals are exported cheaply. Agricultural products are sold at minimal prices. Labor is exploited for wages that barely sustain survival. Then, those same resources return as expensive industrialized products. Value is created in the global south. Profit is captured in the global north. This is not coincidence. It is economic architecture. Chapter 4. The illusion of development. Whenever a poor country tries to change its position, the same advice appears. Follow our model. Open your markets. Privatize. Cut social spending. Trust the free market. But notice the contradiction. Rich countries did not develop by following these rules. They protected their industries. They imposed tariffs. They subsidized companies. They exploited colonies. They broke the rules whenever it suited them. After becoming wealthy, they demanded that others play a game they themselves never played. It is like climbing a ladder and then kicking it away. Chapter 5. Who benefits from poverty? Let's be direct. If every country were rich, the system would collapse. There would be no cheap labor, no ultra-low production costs, no massive profit margins. Rich countries depend on low wages elsewhere, weak environmental laws, cheap natural resources, political instability that allows unfair negotiations. Poverty is not a problem for the global system, it is a requirement. Chapter 6. The aid that never ends poverty. Then comes international aid, loans, development programs, anti-poverty funds. But this aid almost always comes with conditions: structural reforms, cuts to healthcare and education, market liberalization, endless interest payments. The result? More dependency, more debt, less sovereignty. Aid was not designed to eliminate poverty. It was designed to manage it. Chapter 7. The role of global corporations. Modern empires no longer fly flags. They are corporations. They have no nationality, no loyalty, no commitment to local development. They seek only lower costs, higher profits, fewer regulations. When a country tries to raise wages or protect the environment, capital simply leaves. The message is clear: stay poor or be excluded. Chapter 8. Inequality as strategy. None of this is accidental. Inequality maintains political control, economic dependency, predictable flows of wealth. It prevents poor countries from competing on equal terms. It preserves the global hierarchy. The system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as it was designed to. By now, one thing should be clear. Global poverty is not a moral failure. It is a structural success. In the next part, we will go further. Why the myth of merit sustains the system. How the middle class in rich countries is both beneficiary and prisoner. Why real change never comes from the top. If you think this sounds exaggerated, wait until you understand who really pays for global comfort. Chapter 9. The myth of global merit. One of the most powerful ideas sustaining global inequality is the myth of merit. The belief that those at the top earned their position purely through effort, that those at the bottom simply did not try hard enough. This myth is incredibly effective because it transforms a structural problem into an individual failure. If a country is poor, it is blamed on corruption. If a population suffers, it is blamed on bad choices. If a nation does not prosper, it is said to lack discipline or intelligence. But this logic collapses under one simple truth: countries do not compete on equal footing. Some entered the global race with centuries of accumulated capital. Others entered after being colonized, stripped of resources, and locked into dependency. Merit only exists when the starting line is the same. Globally, it never was. Chapter 10. The middle class in rich countries, beneficiary and prisoner. There is a common belief that only elites benefit from global inequality. This is only partially true. The middle class in rich countries also benefits, often without realizing it. Cheap clothing, affordable electronics, low-cost imported food, relatively inexpensive fuel. All of this is possible because somewhere else in the world, someone earns poverty wages. Someone works in unsafe conditions. Someone lives under weak labor and environmental protections. But here lies the contradiction. That same middle class is also trapped. Its standard of living depends on cheap global labor. It fears any structural change that would raise prices. It is conditioned to defend the very system that exploits others, and increasingly, itself. Comfort becomes silent complicity. Chapter 11. Why poverty must remain visible. Poverty does not just exist. It must be seen. It serves as a warning. This is what happens if you fall behind. This is the cost of not competing. This is the fate of those who fail to adapt. Poor countries function as a global cautionary tale. They enforce discipline. They justify exploitation. They sustain fear. Without visible poverty, the system would lose one of its most effective tools of psychological control. Chapter 12. Debt as a modern weapon. In the past, domination came through armies. Today, it comes through contracts, external debt, international financial institutions, interest rates that can never truly be repaid. A country in debt is not free. It does not control its budget. It does not define its priorities. It does not invest where it needs to. It pays, over and over again. Many poor countries have already paid back the original value of their loans multiple times and still remain in debt. This is not miscalculation. Debt is not a failure of planning. It is a mechanism of control. Chapter 13. Controlled development. The system does allow some countries to rise, but only to a point. Never too fast, never too far, never outside the hierarchy. These are called emerging economies. They grow as long as they do not challenge technological monopolies, as long as they do not control strategic resources independently, as long as they remain dependent. When they push further, consequences follow. Sanctions, capital flight, financial crises, political destabilization. The message is unmistakable: grow, but not too much. Chapter 14. The power of narrative. None of this would survive without a story to justify it. A story that says inequality is natural, that poverty is inevitable, that there is no alternative. Global media reinforces this narrative. Educational systems normalize it. Political speeches repeat it. Those who challenge it are labeled naive, radical, anti-growth, unrealistic. Narratives protect structures. As long as the story remains intact, the system remains unquestioned. Chapter 15. Why change never comes from the top. Governments do not dismantle the system because they depend on it. Corporations do not challenge it because they profit from it. Global institutions do not reform it because they were built to maintain it. Expecting transformation from the top is part of the illusion. The system only reforms itself enough to survive, never enough to change. Chapter 16. So what is the way out? The honest answer is uncomfortable. There is no simple solution, no quick reform, no painless transition. But there is a starting point: awareness. Understanding that global poverty is not local failure, that extreme wealth is not isolated merit, that comfort has a cost, and it is paid elsewhere. Without this awareness, every conversation about development remains superficial. Chapter 17. Unlearning as a first act. Unlearning is painful. It means letting go of comforting stories. It means accepting our place within an unjust system. It means realizing that neutrality is also a choice. But unlearning is also freeing, because only those who understand the design can imagine something different. Conclusion. The world as it is. The world is not unequal by mistake. It is unequal by design. Rich countries need poor countries, not because of individual cruelty, but because of structural logic. As long as this logic remains unchallenged, inequality will continue to be called normal. And now that you understand this, the question is no longer whether the system is unjust. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? If this video made you uncomfortable, it did its job. Now you have a choice. Ignore what you've heard, or start questioning the world as it really works. If you believe inequality is not an accident, if you understand that the system is not broken but engineered, then subscribe to this channel. Here, we don't offer easy answers. We expose the structures behind them. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with someone who is ready to unlearn, because questioning the system is the first step toward not being just another part of it.